Hello, everyone. Caught me sleeping there. Welcome to the Soboyede podcast. It is about 8:07, a little bit after 8 o'clock today, and we got a really good topic this week. And the topic is, should women propose to men? Yes. Should a woman propose to a man in marriage? It really goes against a lot of tradition. It's the thing of the future. Women have certainly become equal members of society in every way, form, or function, financially, independence, politically, socially. So maybe that's just the natural step in the process where women are taking control of their own destiny. They're not going to rely on a man to make that commitment or the conversation for a commitment. They're going to start that process, and I think it's a good thing. Being 64, or actually 65 at this point, I have some deep-rooted, maybe some biases that I have to be open about to everybody before we get started. In my era, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, mostly 60s and 70s, if a man and a woman were dating, the man would obviously make the initial move to get on his knee and make his commitment to his woman and to propose to her, typically on his knee or in some form or fashion where he was looking up to her, directing his affection to her. that's how I was raised, and I'll be very honest. That's the psychological view that I see every time when a woman is marrying, or when a woman is getting married. She has been approached by the man, and the man is being the aggressor in that light. Things have changed, obviously. The world is very, very different from 1977, 1987, or even 1997. The world is very, very different. Women are in a different space, and I think it's a better place for them because they can now become equals with men, with that they are walking, hand in hand, foot to foot with on a daily basis. Now, what does that mean in terms of comfort? What does that mean in terms of um, the optics from a social standpoint? Well, one, some people are not going to like it, but that's them. That's their thing. If two people really love each other, I think you can get past all the issues that society might be putting on you, and you can have your own morality, your own litmus test for each other. Um, when I married my wife, I proposed to her, and it was certainly something that I was very proud of, very excited to do. I was nervous, all that good stuff, but I did it. So let me give you some facts here before we start the conversation, or I start babbling off at the mouth. A survey of 500 men, 70% of men said they would approve of their fiance, their girlfriend, or wife to be to propose to them. In fact, they were so it's overwhelmingly an approval for women to go ahead and make that move. For men, it's something you don't have to have that pressure. And if their woman that they're with anyway wants to sit down and propose on their knee and make that commitment to them, they say 70% of all men not only to agree, but they enthusiastically um, like that, would like that to happen. And looking at current marriages only, and this is a kind of a different rate or a different percentage. 1 to 5% of marriages currently, women have made the proposal to them, and it has successfully. The guy said yes, and they are married, and everything is quote unquote hunky dory. Um, One caveat: in a lot of other instances, when women were making proposals to men, a lot of the guys were feeling kind of awkward, thought it was a joke, um, very, very mixed emotions, and those proposals didn't go very well. So there is a slight resistance in some guys, and I think that's probably more the traditional men in the survey that they were talking about. Biblically, and I'm not trying to give anybody any kind of uh, Christian oversight, but I definitely think it's something to mention. Biblically, it says Genesis 2:24. It dishonors a woman to propose to a man. That's what it says in the Bible. Take it with a grain of salt. In Brides Magazine, that's the Bible for a lot of women that are about to get married. They indicate that things are changing faster than people's behavior. In other words, people are getting to their own point and looking at the world, looking at society, and more importantly, looking at that relationship with that particular man. And I'm speaking from the women's perspective, and they're just not waiting anymore. They have financial independence, being women. They have their own cars. They're not relying on anybody to pull them up. They're pulling themselves up. They have their own destiny in terms of their careers, what they want to do, how they travel. They have their own set of girlfriends. I mean, women are totally independent now. So I guess the next maturation in that is the next step is for yes. If I see somebody and I'm dating him for a while, with a number of years, whatever it might be, whatever you call a while, and it comes to the point where I love this particular person, and I'm speaking as a woman here, just for the sake of an example, why not tell him that I love him and I want to marry him? I'm not going to fight that too much. As long as you're happy, as long as you can, feel comfortable in that, it's a good thing. Some of the other points in the survey, a lot of men that were very comfortable in being proposed to, one of the things they all have in common is that they were all comfortable with their own masculinity. They were not feeling like they were emasculated. They were not being pushed down in terms of um, their value as a man. The woman wasn't controlling them or, trying to push them down, put them in a corner, and we're going to try to run them. A lot of these guys are very confident, like, hey, if she wants to propose, have at it. I'm here. Bring it all to me. Bring all the smoke. So a lot of guys were extremely comfortable in their own, their own, I guess, image of themselves. Let's face it, the way it's currently structured, marriage is a very sexist tradition. The woman takes the name of the man typically. Why is that? I think that's a sexist um, tradition in its origin. I'm not saying people are trying to be mean spirited when they do that, but they are definitely going by a tradition that was set initially for men to be in control. A man's name was something that was very, very important to a woman when she got married years ago and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So this tradition was rooted, I think, in some sexist foundations. I'm not saying that's bad or good, but that's just the reality of what it is. Do I think it's sexist now? Maybe a little bit. But nowadays, women are getting proposed to by men, and they're not taking their name, and they're very happy. And the guy doesn't care. I mean, he's getting married, doesn't care if she has their last name or not. A lot of women want to maintain their financial independence, their social independence, and more importantly, their career independence, where they are known for who they are by their name, not by their husband's last name. And I get it. I mean, it differs. It's different for person to person, certainly, but I really believe that. Um, you have to be confident in yourself for whatever your reality might be. For me, I'm an old school cat. Um, if my wife would have proposed to me, I love her, and I know I probably would have said yes anyway. But it definitely would have probably caught me off guard, and I would have really had to kind of think that over. And I would have said yes, obviously, because I love my wife dearly. But I think that that's a tradition. That I was just kind of in my mindset. That's how a man reacts. If you love a woman, you get on your knees, you propose to her, and you keep it pushing. Um, so, how does that look like in today's society in terms of being able to um, have that reality? I do think some factors in that is definitely our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQ uh, community. We see a lot of lesbian sisters marrying other sisters, and they are proposing. And I think that probably has a little bit of influence of what's going on in the general society. It's working out for them, so the heterosexual women are probably saying, you know what, it's working out for them. It'll work out for me as well. Um, I think the persona, and this is something from those sexist origins, where initially women were viewed as being overly sexualized, needy, desperate, without any character or without any type of um, self-esteem, were viewed in a very negative light back in the day. When I say back in the day, 70s, 60s, and beyond, if they were to propose to a man. All that's being pushed away now by the modern society. We are very close, to me, very close to being a genderless society. In other words, you're a person, and that person can do what he or she wants. They can be viewed in those terms, their terms. You define to people who you are and what you are, and people then go from that point. To me, the natural step, the natural maturation, it also applies to marriages. If women and men are truly equal, why don't women have the right or the comfort in society to say, hey, you know what? I love this guy. He's my guy. We ride and die together. Um, I'm not going to wait any longer. I've been dating him for 3, 4 years. Why should I wait any further when I do love him and I don't want to risk the chance of this breaking up and him going his way and me going my way, and I lost out on a really good opportunity with a really quality man. I think that makes sense. I think women who are thinking in those terms are being very proactive. They are not waiting, fellas. If they like you, they're gonna go out and get you, and I think that's good. But I will caution this: you have to know the person that you're. If you're a woman, I'm speaking again uh, as a man talking about a woman. I'm not going to try to act like I know what women think because I don't. I'm not that. I'm not that smart. But I will say this: if you're a woman and you're going to propose to your man, I think you darn well better know him, and I mean know who he really is. If he's a macho, traditional guy who is really entrenched in older values, older isms, then I would caution you to be someone who's going to take that first step, regardless of how you love him or he loves you, because the love is not the question. You guys love each other. The question is how you guys are going to consummate that marriage officially in the eyes of society and the eyes of the Lord. And I do believe in a higher power. Um, so think about that. Now, if you're dating a very modern thinking guy who doesn't view men and women in such distinctive categories and distinctive functions and roles, then that might be a better opportunity for a woman to say, you know, I've been dating John for 2 years. You know, we've had some ups and downs. We've been through some things, and I got a chance to really know him in the worst moments and the best moments. I know his character. I've been with him, good times and bad. He's been supportive, you know, all that good stuff. Then he might be a better target. I use that term loosely for someone to make a proposal to. Getting married is a very serious step. I don't care who makes the proposal. And oftentimes people get married because they want to have a great wedding as opposed to a great marriage. And folks, it's a huge difference. And I've been married for 20 plus years. If you're just trying to have a great wedding day, God bless you. But because it's going to end up in divorce. But if you want a good marriage, you're going to take the steps to sit down with your spouse and say, what do we think we need to do to make this work? Have good communication, have good conversations. And I'm not saying have good conversations where everybody feels good about everything. Have some tough conversations. How are you going to work the money out? Who pays what bills? Are we going to put all of our money together? Are we going to have our own separate checking account and we have another account just to pay our bills? Where do we want our kids to go to school? Do we want them in a private school? Do we want them in a Christian school? Do we want them in a non-Christian school? Do we want them in a monolithic, racially monolithic environment where it's all one race of kids that look like your kids? Or do you want them in a diverse environment? Those are topics you really need to talk about. The proposal is a culmination of all those things being talked about and talked through. That's the last step where you know your person that you're marrying, you know their character, you know, and let's face it, no finance and no romance. You know what the money is on both sides of the table. You know the credit scores on both sides of the table. You know all the bad stuff in his closet, and he knows most of the bad stuff in your closet. Those are the marriages that do well because they have honest communication. And to me, excuse me, the last step in all of that is sitting down and having that 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 conversation where you're just talking, and then naturally that woman who loves this man says, "You know what? I love you. I want to be with you. You're my guy. I see you. Everything in the future is just with you. Do you want to marry me?" But if you jump the gun, and as I said before, it doesn't matter who makes that proposal. But if a woman's making a proposal or a man's making a proposal, both individuals need to think about the person that they are looking at as their lifetime partner. Because trust me, folks, it is a partnership, like it or not. It's a business arrangement laced over in love. You can't have a marriage without money. It doesn't work that way. So you need to have the finances together. And I know I'm emphasizing that a lot, but it is true. And I'm not trying to get away from the topic of who women should they propose to a man, but I'm talking about all the components that lead up to that woman asking that man for marriage. Now, as I said before, communication is very, very important. And I'll go back to I think one of my initial points. You have to know your partner. I'm 65. And if my wife would have came to me and proposed to me, I would have acted a certain way because based on how I was raised. But you fast forward me to 2023, and I would be a different person because I've been raised up in a different time frame. And my expectations on what women do and don't do would be totally different versus 1970s, 1960s. That's just a fact. But it still goes. I don't care if you're married in 1960. I don't care if you're married in 1920. I don't care if you're married in 2021. The marriages that last when women ask men are those marriages that have taken time to understand the various steps you have to go through as a couple. You have to get to know each other. You have to make sure that you have common morality. I think there's a Christian term, equally yoked. In secular terms, you all have a lot in common. Those are some of the things that people really, really think about or should think about before you get married. Don't rush out there because the guy might be cute. He's got all that. He's got a great package, and he's got a great car, and he's a great guy, but you don't really know him. You've never went through anything. There's a cemetery of marriages that are just piling up as we speak that were based on physical looks and the appearance of this person being great, and when in fact it was the worst person in the world for you. Do your homework. Do your homework. So getting back to the question of the night, of the day, I believe that again, women proposing to men is a very good thing. Women nowadays, you guys can do it all. You've got your careers in check. You got your credit in check. You got your own houses, your own cars. You travel frequently all over the world. You go to the Caribbean. You go overseas, Europe, Asia, South America, Africa. I mean, you guys are doing it. So the natural next step, why wait for someone to control your destiny when you can make sure that person, if you love them and you've taken all those steps I've talked about prior, why not make sure that person is in your life permanently? Because I'm telling you right now, if you got somebody that's good in your life, keep them in your life. The grass is never green on the other side. It's always brown. Always brown. So make sure that person stays in your life. So that would be my initial and final assessment of women proposing to men. Now I know we got some old heads in here that probably saying, "Well, Phil, I just don't think that's natural." Us men, we're hunters. We know this is how we're built. We got to go after it. We go after them sexually. We go after them. We just want to go get it. So why do I have to let her propose to me? That doesn't seem right. I don't like that. I think that's the wrong thing to do. I just think, I'm a man. You guys heard that term. I'm a man. Well, if you're a man, you'll be comfortable, at least to me, in her being herself. And that attitude, I think, is somewhat of a dinosaur. And I'm trying to let me say this to make sure that old OGs that listen to this won't get upset. I'm not getting upset with anyone who is from my era that looks at the modern relationship and says, I can't get with that. I don't understand that. And that's okay, because from where you come from and the way you were raised, that does not mesh. And I get it. I get it. Maturation is a process, and sometimes it's a slow process. I didn't get to where I was today and being very open and understanding overnight. It's taken time and lessons and conversations and communicating with other folks that have different views and listening to them. You think women should marry men? Could propose to men? Yeah, Phil, I do. And these are the reasons why. I have 2 daughters, both single as of right now. Now, they were both, I don't know their dating habit because they won't tell their dad what they're doing. I'll leave that alone, being a father. But if they have somebody in their lives that they love, and they've went through those steps, and they talked to that gentleman or man and say, hey, you know what? This is where we see each other morally. This is where we see each other financially. This is my past. This is your past. I know your credit score. I know where you want to go career wise, because again, finances make a difference. No finance, there will be no romance. You guys have went through those steps, and my daughters find somebody that they really care for, and that somebody is in their corner for life. I don't see why they shouldn't be able to propose to that man. If they know that man, again. If he's an old-fashioned guy, I don't think it's going to go out very well. Going to meet some resistance there. He might be uncomfortable. He might say yes, but it's going to be a rocky road, a kind of an uncomfortable yes. Now, if he's a modern guy that views women on the same plane, is not intimidated by a very strong, independent woman, then I think it would be cool to be like, you know what, baby, thanks. You know what? I love you too. Let's get married. Yes, yes, and more yes. Just kiss on the cheek or on the lips, and they skip off into the world where they're very, very happy with one another. But you got to know the person you're marrying or want to marry, not who you think they are, not who you want them to be, but who are they today? And more importantly, how do they become the person they are today based on their history? Be honest. And yes, there's a differences based on culture. And let's be honest about that. And it's okay to say that. Some men in certain cultures would have a hard time with this. And I won't speak for all Black men, but I know a lot of Black men would be, I think, comfortable if done in the right way in terms of the relationship. But some might be like, no, I'm not having that. That just seems odd. You know, are you desperate? You kind of, you come at me kind of sideways. And just ask yourself, if you're in a relationship and you're not married right now, if you're a guy, if your wife to be, or this woman you're dating, who you love, you're sleeping with her already, you're living together with her already, everything looks like a marriage, but it's not a marriage. And she comes to you one day and says, look, Billy, I want to get married. I love you. I want to have kids with you. I want to have a life with you, but I need to get this officially locked down. I love you. Will you marry me? You got to think that through. And that's where if you're a man and like she knows you, you got to know her too. If she's a woman that is proposing to you, obviously, to me, she's a modern thinking woman. She's not desperate. She's got her shit together. But she is making the conversation to you directly like, I love you, baby. Let's do this. That's a strong woman to me. A very strong woman who's comfortable enough to be a woman and feminine, but at the same time strong and be supportive of her man. But maybe she's got a shy guy she's dating. Maybe the guy really loves her, but doesn't know how to talk about that last step. And that's an area that I struggled, and I'll be very candid with it with my wife. It was very, very hard for me to get to that last few steps, but I did. And sometimes, if you have a partner, regardless of male or female, particularly when it's female, that can see you're trying to get there, and she says, "Look, I'm not waiting any longer. I've been dating this Negro for 3-4 years. I'm not waiting. Billy, I love you. Let's get married." "Oh, sure, baby. Let's get married. I love you too. Great. No problem." Sometimes that stress on a man is a lot. And maybe sometime a woman who knows the situation can kind of read between the lines. So, you know what? I think now is the time for me to pop the question. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I really believe that if people, and I'll stress, communicate constantly, you'll be in a better position as a couple, better position as an individual, first and foremost, because you have to have yourself together as a person, male and female, before you get married. I believe you don't get married to make yourself whole. You get married to have two whole people come together and make a very strong couple, a unit. And I don't believe in being in a relationship 50%. You got your 50, I got my 50. No. You're in a relationship, you give 100%, she's giving 100%, and you're going to be in a much better place. Don't hold back anything. So I think with that, I'm going to stop the conversation. Please like and subscribe if you like what you heard me talk about tonight. We're gaining momentum on the podcast. I like talking about a lot of different things, as you guys know. I'm a big 2A or Second Amendment guy, but I also talk about society. I like talking about economics. I like talking about politics. I like talking about Black women and Black men. I like talking about men and women in general, regardless of race or color or creed. There's a lot of things to talk about, but tonight it was on my mind. I just ran across a rare article about a woman proposing to a man, and the guy said yes, but he was after the conversation with his wife to be, he admitted that he was a little rattled. And I said, let me talk to this talk with this topic with my membership and kind of see what they feel. But please like and subscribe, tell all your friends about the show. We are growing, and I'm a firm believer in having quality conversations attracts quality people, and that's how you grow. You're not going to see me come out here naked just to get likes, and Lord have mercy, if that happened, you guys would probably run in and destroy the channel. So quality over quantity, and definitely we'll keep it pushing and see you guys next week. As always, God bless, be safe, and respect, and please like and subscribe.